Look, it is great to take acting classes. It is great to study independently, but to take your acting to the next level, I really believe in a personal acting coach. Let's talk about it.
Acting Class Weekly with legendary character actor Sean Whalen. Lessons, tips, and insight into the craft and business of acting from a man who's been directed by the likes of Spielberg, Eastwood, Tim Burton, Ang Lee, Michael Bay, Wes Craven, Tom Hanks, and many more of Hollywood's A-list. He is 30 years an actor and your professor, Sean Whalen.
Roxy, I'm going with muted black jacket today. I hope it doesn't offend you.
Pissed. Livid, furious, not doing the show, storming out. There I go. Yeah. Watch me run. It doesn't look good, Rox.
All you listeners, you know the blue jacket versus black jacket controversy. I'm always going to lean into the sweater, but we can't here in Los Angeles. It's just way too hot.
It is 99 degrees in the valley right now.
Yeah, and 98 in this studio as we speak.
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
I'm kidding. So today we are going to talk about acting coaching, or getting an acting coach to help you hone your acting skills and take it to a different level. It's like I said, it's great to have classes. That's really a great environment. It has many pluses, as well as, watching your own movies and things like that. But to have someone who is experienced look at you and really hone and tighten your acting chops is a really good thing. And besides Miss Phenomenal, who is always here every week, Roxy Striar.
That's true. That's a fact. I am here every week, Sean. Is it a compliment?
Yeah, it is. Okay. Jeff Graham, Mr. Funtabulous in the booth.
Always Funtabulous, always boothin' hard. Sean, I'm excited for this show, and I will never use that expression again.
I felt it might have been a good T-shirt, but then I scrubbed it. I scrubbed it immediately after I kind of booth. I don't know what it means. But let's not go there. Okay. I have two of my coaching students with me, Mr. Russell Hopkins.
Hello.
And
wow, he's so excited to be here.
He's so excited to be here. The heat has gotten to him.
Yeah,
the heat has gotten to
him.
If I was coaching him, I would say it again with some enthusiasm, Russell.
Hello.
There we go.
He didn't just book the gig.
He didn't book the gig. He didn't book the room. And a former student, Ross Lee, is with me today, right?
Hello, I'm Ross.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Former, you'd piss him off, or what happened?
Yeah, there was an incident. We don't want to go into it here today. No, I'm kidding. No. He got so successful, he didn't need me anymore.
That's not true either.
Well,
that's not true either.
Well, it's a better story for my show.
Let him have this one.
Yeah, let me have this one, okay? All right. So before that we get into the coaching, why we like it, why we think it's a good idea, we're going to go over, as always, Sean's Week. 1, 2, 3.
Sean's Week.
What?
Did Jeff join that too?
He did.
Is that why it sounded so good for the first time?
It was pretty full this time.
I've been having FOMO for weeks, guys. I was like, I'm gonna join this week.
But
that
also,
was so bold too.
It was very bold, and also lack of applause.
Yeah. No, a little set.
Whole performance.
But they didn't know. Yeah, they didn't know. There we go. Okay.
We actually have a live studio audience.
That's true.
Well, whatever.
But,
it is what
I don't
it
think
is.
it deserves a full applause. But I can say that I commend the bold comedic, choice that you made in today's podcast, and we're going to be talking about specific choices today. So it kind of fits in, Mr. Funtabulous, and I'm very proud of you today.
You're welcome.
All right, so my week. I just got back from Franklin, Pennsylvania. This Friday, 6 in the morning, I jumped on a plane, flew out to Pittsburgh, drove 2 hours to Franklin, PA. This is a really great community theater, Broadway style, like a beautiful theater. They got the rights to Disney musicals. They've done Beauty and the Beast, and they've done Little Mermaid. They've done a bunch of big Broadway shows, even the producers, everything. An amazing community theater. And so I met them through my girlfriend. That's where she lived. And they brought me out to come and do an improv workshop. I did a beginning improv workshop in the morning, an advanced one, because I did it again last year. I had those people back to do an advanced/intermediate. And then we put on a show Saturday night in the theater with them with this really fun improv show.
How'd they do?
It was so much fun. People just had a blast. I mean, the thing is, for me, and I think you know this, that I feel this way for improv shows, and I just did a sketch show. I just want people to go, I had fun. Not like, oh, well, that fourth improv when that guy, they never say that. They just go, I had a blast. It was fun. And that's all you really need. And it's just a great exercise to get people out of their head. The fun thing is because they've been all very involved in the community theater, I'm not starting from scratch, pulling people that are accountants that have never done anything. So it's easier. But, I've really learned a lot about improv with my partners, Gabe and Lincoln, who you've met through the improv program at Playhouse West. And so it's really helped me take people from the beginning, and we had a blast. It was a really great time.
Any curveballs?
No, not when you're doing the first kind of improv show. You don't want to really throw them a curveball that early. As they get a little more advanced, then you can start to play with your, then it's really fun. Then you can kind of mess around with your improv partner. I heard Mike Nichols say that, him and Elaine May, and she said, oh, it's just like this Albanian national song that we used to sing as children. He goes, oh, really? I'd love to hear it. You know what I mean? And then he just makes her sing it like on the spot. So
good.
Like that's the kind of fun, but they're too new for that. Maybe in the future because they want me back. That's all I'd love to do this all over the country. So people who are listening, if you would like me to come to your town, I can do scene study, I can do auditioning, I can do monologues,
improv.
I can do improv beginning and advanced, and we can put on a show. So
and for businesses as well.
Yeah, for businesses as well. I do cool. For business for what's it called? Corporate improv. So I do that as well. But then I got back on Monday.
What is that word?
Corporate.
Corporate.
What'd I say?
Well, you said it. It's just funny. Like
corporate.
The creatives are like, what is that word?
Yeah, what is corporate? I don't know what that means.
Corporate improv. Right?
Then I got back, and Roxy and I met during my play Psyche on Vine, and we had the creator Doug Van Beber and myself had a really great meeting, and then Kathleen Randazzo, who directed, had an amazing meeting with John Legend's company, and they are interested in moving forward. I can't really tell you what we're doing, but we're having a really cool version of our play Psyche on Vine. And
did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you?
They came to the play and loved it. Came to the play and loved it. Friend of Doug's, but he just freaked out and said, I really want to do something with this. And so that's really good. And then this morning, I had a very interesting meeting about my movie Crust with some independent producer friends of mine, Talay Trost and Jason Trost. And they gave me a very interesting curveball that I'm not ready to talk about yet, probably next week, of a way to do it.
Creative
that's
curveball?
Interesting. Yeah, a creative curveball, or even producerally, a different way to look at it and think about how to do it. And but it's looking good. It's looking really, really good. So 2 of my projects that have been around the last couple of years are getting some juice. So that's nice.
I have a
Very
guess
nice.
what it is.
What's that? No, you don't.
I do have a guess.
I know, but I don't want you to even.
No, I have a guess. No, you don't.
No, you
do not have one.
Don't say a word.
I have no guesses.
Did I tell you I teach improv?
Yeah.
No and. No and.
No but.
No but.
You do not.
Wait, well, okay, now I'm so intrigued. What is it?
No.
No.
Oh, here we go.
See, now,
That is
yeah.
how it all
now,
starts.
yeah, that's
what was that
how
Albanian
it starts.
song that you used to sing,
Yeah.
Sean?
Go ahead and sing that. So anyway, I'll have fun news, and I will hear your theory off the air. I mean, you can tell me.
I'll tell them. I'm not telling you.
Okay, tell them.
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
I'm wondering if instead of live action, they think he should do an animated movie.
Great guess, but no.
Oh.
No, that's not what they were thinking, but that was a good guess. Okay.
Creative.
It was right.
It was very creative. I promise you it's not.
It is correct. My guess was right. I know these things.
This is literally how we operate. We never figure out this
Best
stuff
high five
out.
we had yet.
Best high five.
You guys
All
are
right,
on
let's
fire
get into
today.
coaching. Let's get into coaching, guys. So, coaching changed my acting life, and here's why. I got recommended from a friend of mine, Keven West, very funny comedic actor, where I met in the early 90s. I had done Groundlings. I had done Playhouse West, and I was just finding a way to try to merge the two. For people who don't know, Groundlings is comedic, sketch, improv, and improv. Playhouse West is very dramatic and rooted mainly in a dramatic technique. So I had these 2 swaths of skills, and what my coach did was really, really help me hone them, figure out what I personally needed, and took me to the next level. If it wasn't for him, and I'm going to talk about in my stories from the set, but it'll be stories from kind of auditioning, is he helped me get people under the stairs for sure. My first 2 theatrical jobs, I would not have gotten them if it wasn't for my coach, hands down. So it's an individualized way for someone, and again, we'll talk about this, with experience, to look at the scenes you're doing and look what you're doing specifically and really help you one-on-one. So that's kind of what coaching is, and it changed my life. It was great. And the whole goal of coaching, if you have a good coach, is you help your student learn how to break down a script, how to work with their quirks, how to find the truth and meaning in everything they're doing so they can do it themselves. And my coach basically worked with me for 5 years and went in one day and I was saying, he's like, how about do this way? And I said, no, I think I'd like to do this. He's like, well, let's tweak it this way. And I go, here, I want to show you what I did. And he on and on for the whole audition. And then he said, you're done. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you got it. You figured it out. You figured out your way to do it. So I was done with him, but he put me on the path for sure. Which was also great was he had studied with Stella Adler and Udo Hagen in New York. So I have all these different ways to do things. So it wasn't like how to do it Meisner way or do it this way or do it, Stella Adler's way. He was finding the way that worked for me. And the other thing he taught me really was when to put on the Groundlings hat for a comedy audition and when to put on the Playhouse hat for a dramatic audition, and really how to use those.
Do you think that it's ever too early to get a coach, Sean? Because you had said you had all that training beforehand. Do you think if you had moved to Los Angeles and the first thing you did was get a coach, that would have been too soon? Now
I do this. I take people who've never done anything and I help them, but somewhere in it where we start to move on, I will say, get a class, So you can start with a good coach who will start you individually, but then I think any good coach would say, but go out and get into a classroom setting, as we've talked to just about the groups and the networking and the people you meet. That's the hugest thing. So depending on the coach, then I would say, yeah. So the benefits of a coach, like I just kind of mentioned, helping break down a scene with an experienced set of eyes. That's really important, the experienced part. Someone who's done it for a long, long time. And by the way, I'm also coaching someone else.
Who?
Roxy and I have been coaching for the last couple months, and it's been phenomenal. She gave me an amazing performance yesterday after a lot of hard work.
He pulled out an amazing performance.
It was an amazing performance. But for you guys, Russell, Ross, Roxy, talk about how that helping break down and see a scene helps you. Russell?
Specificity. Confidence. Sean really helped me be able to go into a room and really take control of the room by teaching me he has, I won't say them on air, but he's got certain catchphrases and certain key things to say that literally gets a casting director's attention as soon as you go in.
But I'm talking specifically about just the script at this point. We're going to talk about all that stuff, but about the script itself, how have I helped you see a script differently, I guess is my question.
Making it super specific, getting super specific on the choices and things like that. When you get a co-star role for 4 lines,
right,
being able to truly not stand out, but make it so it's on
specific,
super specific. That's the only thing I can say is super specific.
Yeah. How did it help you, Ross, when I worked with you breaking down scripts?
Just because I think whenever you're given sides, there's always clues in every side, why they gave it to you. There's a reason. If they've given you 3 different scenes, they're going to see 3 different parts of the same character.
Right.
And Sean, you helped me kind of be okay, well, this is the introduction of the character, so this is how this is. This is going to be different from the second scene because this is where there's a turn, and this is where it's in the final element. And we did a lot of co-stars, a lot of guest stars. And if you don't have a coach that's showing you this or has the experience to, you're just going to go in there like everyone else. It's kind of like Russian roulette. But if you've got a specific set of eyes that say this is all the points that you got to hit to at least get a callback, these are the ones that are going to be put to the side. Right. You can read a scene as someone who's never done it and been like, oh, I kind of get what's going on here.
Yeah,
But when
yeah.
you've got a coach that says, okay, well, this is because so many of these things you've seen them before.
Right.
You've seen them before, so you know what the person's looking for, and you were able to help me say, oh, okay, this is the scene where there's the big reveal.
Right.
So this is where you kind of have your turn, and then you go into the specifics of the actual scene of
Right.
line by line, and you break
Right.
it down completely, and it's
Right.
not just line, 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 line.
I mean, I see it as kind of understanding the whole idea. Like if we were doing Swan Lake as a ballet, you know what I mean? You know the overall general thing, and then you have to break down the different scenes, and then you have to do each step of the dance, and then we put it all back together again. How's it helped you with the breakdown of the...
I think it's a couple of different things for me. First of all, I think Sean and I are right now trying to figure out exactly what it is I need in order to really be in the scene, because I'm
Right.
super duper neurotic and analytical, and
Right.
I get pulled out of things very easily. There's a joke that Sean and I make all the time because we did an episode about like
A relaxation
technique, and he was talking about how imagine there is steam coming out of your head and
then filling up a balloon.
filling
Remember
up
the
a
I think it's
balloon
actually gray
and-
smoke.
Gray smoke.
Gray
and-
smoke.
Exactly.
Yes,
It was gray
sir.
smoke. And all I kept thinking was, but where is the hole? He didn't tell me that there was a hole in my head. So how is this gray smoke coming out into
Yeah.
the balloon? And then I get really sidetracked with things like that. So we always talk about that gray smoke balloon. And so figuring out the best way to really, because once I'm in it, I'm in it, but getting in it for
And
me is
how
really
about
hard.
breaking down a script?
And I think breaking it down also, like, I a lot of times you hear, forget about the parentheticals, but really making sure you focus on, like you were talking about, those clues. And so really looking into the hints. Like one of the times that we met, I forget exactly what the word was, but we couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting it.
Oh,
why I
right,
wasn't
right. The
getting
sarcasm,
it. And then,
yeah.
that's what it was, sarcastic, and that's what we were missing. And it
Yeah.
was right there on the page.
Right.
And we had left the page thinking about it,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah.
have to go back to it. So
Yeah.
that's been really helpful for me as well.
And what Roxy touched on was her analytical brain, the way she sees things, the way she processes things is for all intents and purposes, a quirk.
Yes.
Quirk of yours so now what I'm doing and what I do for each student, and again, a good coach should do, is help you be specific about what your quirks are. Mine were, when there was a conflict scene, I would whine. Hey, get out of my house. Hey, and he would go, you're too nice a person that hasn't lived enough life and doesn't like conflict. So instead of really owning it, you're whining. So you can be nice about it and whining. So that was my quirk. I also used to go really fast. I used to swallow my words, and I used to put my hands in my pocket, or hide my hands. And he helped me with all those quirks. By the way, my coach was Mark Spiegel, and I'm in the process. Me, and Tia Carrera, and Casper Van Dien. We were all in his
I've interviewed both of
class.
them.
Yeah, and it was in his little apartment in West Hollywood.
What did having a coach help for you in terms of breaking down the script?
For me, I think, again, his experience of seeing things that I just didn't have the maturity or the experience of seeing in a script. I think, oh, I got it. And he's like, yeah, but you're not thinking about this part. He's doing this because she said that, not because it's just he's mad for no reason. He's mad for a very specific reason, and he would just show me the same way. And we would always put the subtext next to everything. What am I really saying? I'm saying, you know what? I don't need you here. I don't. And it's really, the subtext was, please don't leave me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he really helped me break that down. And so specific quirks, so that's the main one you and I are working on.
And
then for
furrowing
me,
my
how
brow.
to, right. And furrowing your brow. But you know what? You literally only did that one time, and you've never done it again. So,
I kicked it.
But it's also right, because I think I put it in your head. How about your guys? Talk about your guys' quirks that you think I've worked with you on.
Smiling.
The smiling?
The smiling, yeah. It's stop smiling, do it again, stop smiling.
Right.
I swallow my words,
What
absolutely.
is the smile? Like you're uncomfortable, so you smile through it, kind of thing.
No, that's just how I respond to things naturally as Russell, but that might not be what the character calls for.
Yeah, like that. He's got a charming wink in his eye. But in all fairness, you went out for a lot of those roles for a while, and now they're actually bringing him in for a wider range of roles that don't require that. And it was kind of a go-to that worked for a lot of the stuff you were going out to. So now we're kind of really working on, making sure that when he does smile, it's deliberate and appropriate for what's happening. How about you, Rust? And what was your quirks? Do you remember anything that we worked on with you?
I think for me is swallowing words,
Yes.
facial expressions. Same with the brow, and stuff that's going to be really specific to like when you're on camera. You're not going to notice it until you actually see it.
Right.
So for someone like Sean to kind of point out, be like, "Oh, did you know you're doing this every time this word comes up, or there's this kind of reaction?" Like it might feel natural to you, but when you see it on camera repeated, like.
Yeah.
It's good to have someone be able to say, "Yeah, did you know you're doing this?"
I love
Yeah.
the face you just made, because that's how forcing yourself to look at yourself and watch back. And Sean, I'm glad that you do, like, watch this back, see this, and you
Yeah.
can see, oh, okay, that's a weird thing that I did. Because
Yeah.
it's one thing for somebody to tell you you're doing something, and then when you watch it, you're like, that looks really weird.
Yeah, 100%.
It has to make sense too. Like I was working on a script with him a couple weeks ago, and I was trying to like put a button on this thing with my face, and I did like this eyebrow thing, and he was like, "What are you trying to say though?" And I was just like, he's like, "You want this? Or you want this?" I was like, I don't really know. And he's like, "It looks like that, so just make a choice."
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, it's the eyes that help you, and again, work, because listen, an acting class is great, and they will touch on those things, but they just don't have the time to really hammer you on your quirks. They want to get the overall technique, and all the students getting the overall technique, which is their job. They just don't have the time, but that's why a coach is really good. The other thing, a benefit of a coach, is it just helps you with audition prep. Again, a good coach should help you deal with audition prep, how to walk in there. And that's kind of what Russell's point was, that we worked on specifically, like, literally how to walk in the room, how to be. And so Russell has now asked me at the end of every time we work and he's going to an audition, we literally do a mock audition. Like, he's out in the hallway, I come pull him in, we do how he's going to be in the room, and, just to get him in the zone, so when he walks in, he's got that whole vibe.
Is that helpful?
It erases every like nerve, every like any insecurity, anything. Like I go in and it's like I've already done this, so I know that I can do it.
Yeah, and it's not just the rehearsal. Talk about this, guys. Rehearsing with a roommate or a friend versus a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really different also, because first of all, a coach feels comfortable telling you when you're not doing something correct, or how they feel, and a roommate, they don't know what they're looking for necessarily. Your friends don't want to hurt your feelings, and so they'll just say, great. That happened to me all the time. And then prior to Sean, I was coaching with somebody for a while years ago when I was in school, and then I would go do it for him and be like, well, that was so bizarre. That was very strange. And I would have just come from somebody who said that I was great.
Right.
And it's a very different eye. So
yeah,
incredibly different.
Yeah. And how about you guys with friends or roommates or girlfriends?
We used to. I mean, he used to help me with auditions back in the day.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it always just helps to have like an experienced set of eyes to like you said, like know what you're looking for.
Right.
Because you're looking for lots and lots of little details when you're doing self tapes, or when you're doing these things and you're putting the recorder on you don't realize that like as soon as the camera's on, it's getting you. And if you start your audition, a lot of people take a little while to like get warmed up.
Yeah.
The first 30 seconds of the audition, that's all they're looking at.
Right.
You've already messed it up and you didn't even know because you were getting to your thing. But a coach will say, this is where the scene starts.
Right.
Go, you're on.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, because when they're looking through these tapes, they see the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And if you're off it, and they just don't have time
logistically.
So your audition has to be awesome from start to finish.
Yeah.
And the benefit about working with Sean too is like, I mean, we'll do a mock audition where he actually gives me a great read. He'll give me a mock audition where he gives me the worst read, absolute like monotone, like he prepares you for like anything that they throw at you.
And well, then also we also do, you know, when they say any, you know, I've talked about this on my show. After a scene, you go, anything else? And sometimes I will, and sometimes I won't. You know, because that's how it'll be in the room. And he's had both. He's had some where they don't say anything, and they've had some where they go, yeah, and they give him adjustments. But because we've played with it, and he knows the root of it, he's comfortable. He's not locked into exactly what I've said. You know, that's the only way to do it. We're just getting in the room and getting a flavor of it. So
I think that's also a good thing, because you help me realize how much work needs to go into the preparation between, like, I'll do 1 or 2 reads by myself and I'll be like, oh, this is where it's at. But after working with you, there's just a gulf of difference, because you've broken it down. You look for specifics. And it's just a world of difference between like what the guy who gets the callback and the guy that doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a world of difference.
Yeah.
But they're all just like little points.
Right.
There was also logistical things I feel like that you helped with, like when you walk in, asking if you could stand and then sit, asking like what it is you can ask for, and prepping for both. If they make you do the scene standing for some reason, but you've prepped it sitting, making sure that you're ready for that, because it sounds like it wouldn't make a difference, but it makes a very large difference. Or asking if you can step into frame if it's a scene where you're walking up to something. They might say no, asking if you can turn into it instead. Like what you're allowed to ask for, and how, and practicing those things in case they say yes or no, so you're not thrown when you walk in there.
Yeah, and
which a non-coach would have no idea to prep you for.
Exactly. I mean, that's the other thing. As a reference, guys, there's an episode called Prepping for an Audition, the Waiting Room, and How to Audition. We cover everything these guys are talking about in those episodes, so definitely check those out. So this all sounds really great, but how do we find a coach? How do we find one wherever we are? Now, the number one way is through, you know, I've told you guys to get into acting class, but if you haven't, is referrals. To get a referral from somebody personally that has had, it's just like people get a doctor or a therapist. You know, the best ones are referrals. People who have had good experiences. So we really started with you, Ross, right? There was a young woman. I don't even remember how she came to me, though. Melanie.
I'm not sure. I think she just she mentioned you to me back in like 2013. I worked with her on a short film. I worked with her on a short film. I think it was 2013, back down in like USC. And she says, "Oh, I've got a coach that I'm seeing," and I was getting a lot of co-star auditions, but not a lot of kind of callbacks. And so I was like, "Yeah, I'll try you out." And then we started going over to your place and just working on them for an hour. And then I just saw like what I was doing. And then what you were showing me, and like that was the difference that I was talking about. I was like, oh, my auditions were good, but you were like making them. There were just lots and lots of little points, like the moment before, having specificity and breaking it down. It just like a lot of little things made a big difference. And so then after I got that referral, I was with you for a few years. And then I was working with Ross at the Mondrian. And he needed some help with some auditions. I was like, oh, I got this great guy. And as long as it's someone that you trust and that someone's like doing the same kind of thing, you're gonna go, oh, okay, you know, I like what you're doing. Like, who are you seeing?
Yeah. And Roxy and I met at a coffee shop, as we've told, the legend.
Hang around a lot of coffee shops, I guess would be how you get your coach. But I think also something that you just sparked that I was thinking about is that how great it is when you're consistently seeing somebody, because then when you do have an audition, it's not the first time you're meeting with somebody and they don't know how to coach you, because Sean, like what we're learning is I'm different than a lot of your other students, and I'm sure that they're different than each other. And you have to coach them differently. The same thing if you were a soccer coach, basketball coach, whatever it is. So if you consistently see the same person, they're going to learn how to pull what out of you, and that's what's really great about it.
It's cool too, because like he said, you know, I was going after a lot of these like CW bad boy roles, and then for some reason I started going out for all these geeky, neurotic, comedic characters. And that's not my forte, but like he has stretched me so much with that, and like I've been able to really show me more chops that I didn't think I had as an actor.
Well, that's the other thing, is he had a natural sense of humor that he didn't know he had. And that's the thing. Your instincts were all right. They were just, you just didn't know that they were right. And that's the thing, is that we all have senses of humor. We do. And if someone goes, oh, I'm not funny, you have a sense of humor. There's things that you look at in a way that is unique to you, and my job is to find those and find out how you operate and exploit those for your purposes, you know, to really help you. Now, so obviously referrals, and then the other way is on the web or Yelp or
So what do you do, Sean? You literally type in.
you could type in acting coaches, and I would put your area.
But you can do Skype too.
You can do Skype too. So what I am on a thing called Thumbtack. There's things called lessons.com, other ones where you can put in acting coach, and I will be on there, and you will see I have a 5-star rating. And and I'm one of the top pros, they say, because I respond quickly, I acknowledge people quickly and discuss with them what their goals, and then I'll work with people from very beginning. I'm kind of moving away from that a little bit and working with people that have had just a little bit of experience, and then because I have a lot of beginning students, so I'm happy with them. I just want to add more intermediate students that I can work with scenes on and break down specific coaching. But you can go on those and you can find acting coaches. So you can find people in your price range, someone near you, someone not near you. You can look it up on the web. And then, of course, if it's going to be Yelp or if it's going to be these Thumbtack things, look at the comments and see what the comments are. And we all know these things with Yelp and stuff. Does this seem like a person who's just a negative complainer, or is it something that really actually speaks to you? Or when they praise it, is it just kind of weird? So for odd reasons. So, or it just seems super generic. So just make sure you do read the comments as well, and then obviously reach out to them if it fits everything. And that's kind of the real ways you should do it. But 90% of these are referrals, I would say. That's the best way to do it. And then again, what's great about the internet is you're getting kind of a referral when you read reviews.
Right.
So it's kind of a...
Is it more beneficial to see somebody in person than it is to do it over video if you have that option?
If you don't have that option, and you can't find someone that is at the level that you think you need. Now, you could go locally to your community theater guy that's or woman that has never really done outside of the community theater thing, or if you said, listen, I'm really serious about this, and you have someone that has a lot of experience, a nice IMDb page with a lot of credits, then it's better to probably go on Skype, because they're going to have more experience than your local person with all the aspects that you need for that. So what do we look for? What are the criteria that you should consider when choosing? First of all, money. Where's your budget? Do not get a coach. Like I tell my students, I will do at least every 2 weeks, at the very least. I'm not going to do
what every 2 weeks?
I will coach you every 2 weeks if we're starting a lesson plan. Oh. But it's like saying I'm going to go to the gym once every 3 months. Why aren't I in shape? I need some sort of consistency. Some sort of consistency where I see you on a regular basis, or else I can't really figure out what I need to help you get better. And then, you see me once every 6 weeks, and then you say, why aren't I getting better? Well, I can. And again, it's the gym analysis. You wouldn't go to the gym that way. You can't get in shape that way. So with that in mind, make sure you have the funds to be able to work with somebody for, I would say, at the very least, a few months. A few months, once a week is ideal. Once every 2 weeks is slow. Things are going to move slower, and you just have to know that.
What is a price range, Sean, that you should be looking at? Like, what would be on the lower end of that?
The lower end, like I've seen some on that Thumbtack that say like $55 an hour. I'm $75 an hour, but I also have a lot more credits and a lot more experience than a lot of those people. And there's some people in town that are, $150 for a half an hour.
And if
Like nuts to me.
the price is higher, should you take that as, oh, that's a better coach, or how
No,
can you
look at the referrals. Look at the I would never pay someone way more than $100 an hour without some serious personal referrals that and evidence that your coaching has helped people. Howard Fine. Bruce Fine's a comedian friend of mine. Hey, Bruce. Howard Fine is a very famous acting coach that helped the Michael, who's in the Green Mile that won.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark helped him get the Academy Award. He helped in Boys Don't Cry. Karate Kid 2, Boys Don't Cry.
Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank. So
all of us teamwork.
He, has worked with some very amazing people, and so and he's helped people get Academy Awards. You know what I mean?
For Hilary Swank, Karate Kid 2. That's I
pulled that out.
Yeah. Okay.
Or no, it wasn't 2. I'm sorry. It was the third one.
Third one.
Fourth one.
Fourth one.
The fourth one. Okay.
But also, she's got a lot of other credits.
Amazing credits.
Keep going,
but that's all I could grab. I had to grab that from it. But so that's someone who, they charge a lot of money. Sure, but they have literally proven results. So I would be careful unless it's that. I believe in this, and some coaches don't have this, and they've been doing theater for a long time. So that's something you have to consider. But I'd like to check the IMDb. Are they working? Are they currently working? Are they still auditioning? When did they stop working? If they stopped working 5-10 years ago, that's not that. I would say 5 to 10 is maybe the most. But if you're looking at someone who hasn't worked in 30 years, the industry just changed too much.
Right.
I don't think that's useful. I think someone who actually has real credits is useful.
Does somebody's age matter, Sean?
No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean, if you're I would say at least someone who's 30, because it takes several years to know who you are and your training and things like that. But I wouldn't go like a 23-year-old. Unless you're a child looking for a child actor coach and they've been a child actor. That's what I would say. So I believe, or involved in entertainment. Some casting directors do some coaching and workshops, or some producers or directors. I know friends of mine that's an independent producer, and he would go do some acting classes and coaching. So just involved in entertainment in some way currently, I think, is the main thing. Convenience, obviously. Skype is convenient, but convenience for you. But even if you had Skype and you said, if someone said to me, I can only work between 8 and 10 on weeknights, I wouldn't take them, because that's not convenient for me. It's got to be convenient for both of you. You have to see if it's convenient. And, luckily you guys all lived in the area. And it was easy to see you guys. I mean, how long?
I'm the other side of the hill, but I come anyway.
But you're on this side of town
Sometimes,
a lot.
a lot.
Yeah, and you guys are like
25 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, listen, I wouldn't drive 2 hours to a coach unless they're amazing. I had
You'd
someone.
Skype.
Yeah, I would just Skype. I've had people who do that. So make sure it's convenient for you. And then the other thing is, guys, like I said, the therapist or the doctor, you have to see if it's a good fit. So what you get is great recommendation, and you go to this therapist or doctor and you don't get a good vibe, then don't stay and keep looking.
What is something that wouldn't give you a good vibe, though? Do you mean creepy, or do you mean
no,
doesn't
just
work
organically that when the things they're saying don't seem useful to you, something that speaks to you where you go, wow, that's a really good point.
Does that sometimes take multiple times, though?
I think we all have guts. And you're either comfortable and sparked and, what's the word where you're inspired, or you're not, And I think that is where you will know. In the first session, I really think an hour with somebody, you will have a good gut when you leave. And if you don't have a good gut, and you're in between, then yes, I would say go back and give it maybe another one or one more. But you should, at the absolute worst, know after 2. And they should really excite you and think that, things are moving forward. And if you don't, then, or in between, like you said, I would keep looking and maybe see someone else at the same time.
I think, I think an important thing to note for any student is attitude. Like they've got to have a good attitude for it.
Yeah.
Like that's their responsibility.
The coach or the student?
No, the student. I mean, you've got to be able to go in with an open mind, because I see a lot of students that they say no to this, they say no to that, but it's also because they're not looking to learn anything new, and that makes it very difficult for any kind of acting coach. You're not going to find anyone you like if you're not checking your own attitude.
Yeah. Like when I first worked with Sean, the first time I ever met him, we did scene. And then when it was done, I was like kind of beating myself up because I didn't see these things. And he just said, look, it takes 10 years to be a good actor and 20 years to be a great actor.
Yeah.
It's just experience.
Yeah. And I know you were asking me about red flags. I would say a red flag of anyone who says to you, that was awesome. That was awesome. I can't wait to work for you again. You're great. This is real. That's not why you're going to a coach. Someone to just feed your ego. That would be a red flag for me. Someone who is demeaning, someone who phrases things in a way that puts you down or makes you feel bad about yourself. I mean, all those things are not great things. So those are red flags that I would say. I am going to say this. And this might be controversial, but don't worry if it's not in an office. Now, I want you to speak to this because you're a female, but most coaches work out of their home or private office or something like that. I had an outdoor office at my home, but now I work in my apartment. But I make sure that obviously everyone feels comfortable. And if you are a female and you go in there and you don't feel comfortable, leave.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So to be perfectly honest, I would not go to so I started coaching in Sean's home because I know Sean very well. And so I had, when that was the direction, go here, I didn't think twice about it.
Right.
But personally, unless I knew somebody who had gone to that home, I would not put myself in that position because it's just simply too risky.
Exactly. That's my asterisk. I would not go to someone's home that you found on Yelp. I would go to only someone's home that was a personal referral of somebody that's been with you for a while. It was better in my old house because I had an outdoor office. It was a separate place. And now I don't have that. But, your main thing is, I have a girl I coach who is 16, and her mom sits in my living room.
Right.
And that's fine, too. And if you are a woman and you are a little worried about that, bring a friend and say, can they just sit in here with me? I had a girl come to me with a big dude friend. And our office was too small, but I had an outdoor pool area, and he sat on a lawn chair out there.
Right.
So, and if someone says to you, hey, I don't feel comfortable, can I bring a friend? And some person says, no, that's a red flag. I would say that for sure. But what I'm saying is my coach, he lived in a little ratty apartment.
Sean, what if they asked to come to you?
That's okay, too, as long, again, as if you have someone there with you, if you have either a parental figure or a friend in the room with you, or at least in the apartment. A lot of coaches don't come to you, though. It's very rare. I find that very rare.
Amount of time that usually, is it an hour, that one session?
It's usually per hour session. Like when I first start with people, I go like an hour and 20 minutes because it's the first time and we're talking a lot at the beginning and I don't really care. But it's usually charged per hour is what it is. And half an hour if you know, I got a 5-page audition. I've already done a ton of work and just need some tweaks.
What if you don't have any material to give your coach?
So your coach will either say to you, listen, I want you to Google, young men comedy scenes or young woman comedy scenes or something to find something, or they will say, hey, I have some stuff. Most coaches should have some material. And I always give people the option, is there something you want to find and bring to me that you want to work on? Or is there something that you want me to find, that I can get for you? They should have that option. They should have some material for themselves. Russell and I are looking for a drug-related scene, like a drug addict scene right now. And I have to reach out to some of my acting friends. We Google some stuff. We haven't really found some stuff yet, and we're both looking at it together as a team. So you should have an option either way. And the other thing I would say, can they tape you and do self-tapes as well? That's a plus. Not necessary for most coaches, but I'd say that's going to put, if you're choosing and you're getting referrals, get someone who does have good taping material so they can coach you and tape you
So
at
you're
the same
saying
time.
if you have an audition that you're putting on tape yourself, that a
Right.
coach might actually be able to do that for you.
Yeah, I
and-
can have the self-tape stuff right there ready to go. So that's really, really important as well. We only have a few more minutes left, but is there anything you wanted to ask the guys that you are interested in about their experience with me?
I'm
or-
curious if there's a particular coaching session for either of you guys that stood out to you about Sean, one that you felt like going in that was not quite clear to you, or one that you feel like really helped get you back in the room, and what it was that he did.
I think the Stitches one that I did, it was a TV show that was on Freeform. I think I auditioned for it in 2014, and I originally went out for one of the lead characters, and Sean and I worked on that pilot episode for 1 or 2 sessions actually.
Yeah.
And while I didn't get the role, they called me back a few weeks later to give me one of the co-star roles, and I ended up doing that for a few years. But that was like a scene that Sean and I broke down very specifically, and there was a lot there that. It wasn't just the lines that we were doing. It was also the kind of stage direction and how to kind of set up the audition. And it was after that audition that actually on the first day on set, Jeff Schenk, the producer, actually said, "Hey Ross, I really liked your audition, man. Like, good job." And like that's
I never heard that story.
yeah,
That's awesome.
well, there you
That's
go.
why I
But no, but that's true because like when you do these
Great.
auditions, you never get feedback.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
do
yeah,
so
you
many
don't.
other-
So
know
rarely.
that you only get the call when you're the guy.
Yeah.
And when you don't hear anything, you could be on a vow, you just don't know. So
Yeah.
to finally put in an audition and have someone say, "Oh yeah, good job," because I wouldn't do these things if I didn't think they were good. But that's just my opinion. But to have like another set of eyes and say, "I like what you're doing. I think casting directors are going to think the same thing. The producer's going to think," that's reassuring because in an industry where you don't get a lot of kind of feedback, that's invaluable. That's
Yeah.
what you're paying for, like an extra set of eyes for that.
Yeah, yeah. How about you, Russell?
A couple weeks ago when we were doing the data-esque
Yeah, yeah,
role,
yeah.
I literally walked in and I said, "I have no idea how to do this." And he was like, "Oh, dude, it's going to be easy. We're going to be in and out in like 30 minutes. And we were in and out in 30 minutes. And then I went to the SAG building and then I did it. And like, that was the first time in a long time where a casting director like let me play. And it wasn't a lot of lines and there wasn't a lot in the script, but he helped me find so much like within these 6 lines that the casting director was like, "Okay, I want you to try it like this now. I want you to try it like this." And that's always a good thing. Anytime casting asks you to do
Yeah.
it over or give
They're
you another
interested
shot,
enough.
they want to see it again, which means they like what you're doing. They just want to tweak you, try to direct you, see if you can take direction, things like that. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say I'm going to answer yours. Yesterday was the best we did.
Yeah, it
Because
was
we
good.
broke through a lot of our figuring out
We're
each
figuring
other,
out
and then
rocks.
and then just your performance was outstanding. So
Thank you,
I
Sean.
would say that.
I
And
want
then
to let the people know at home, by the way, though, if you guys have questions about coaching or whatever that Sean can help, don't forget iTunes, YouTube, leave a comment,
Yes.
write to us. We are so curious what you guys have to say. And especially something like this, coaching might be a new concept for you guys, and we're reading them on Apple Podcasts and YouTube all the time. So if you have questions or comments, make sure you let us know.
And then quickly, my I know we have to wrap up here, but my quick story from auditioning was the 2 first jobs I got was a comedic show that was Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the series, and I was with Cloris Leachman, and it was a snotty teenager, and I went into my coach, and I was like, "Oh, he's a snotty teen," and he made me say, no, but why are you snotty? Why are you angry at her? This is, maybe this is your money that you have to save for college. Maybe, you were the youngest you always felt insecure,
Picked on.
picked on, and so now you have power, and you're going to be a jerk. He made me find the depth in that, and then People Under the Stairs, where I had no lines, and I was like, "Oh, just run around, scream, and cackle," and he said, "No, this is a real person that has needs and wants," and he helped me really define it. And that was my first job was that TV show, and which was a comedy. 2 weeks later, I booked my first movie, People Under the Stairs, and that was all because of my coach who found the depth to it. Because we look at comedy scenes and go, "Oh, I know how to say this funny," or "I know how to say this where they're going to be moved," but a good coach can find the depth of it. So thank you guys for being here. Where can we find you, Roxy?
Everywhere at Roxy Striar.
Mr. Funtabulous?
Sorry, guys. You can find me on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham.
Yes, and Russell
On Instagram at Russell B. Hopkins.
and Ross.
At Instagram on Ross Kurt Lee. That's 1 E.
Yes, and as always, thank you for letting me be part of your journey.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.